Okay, let's discuss interval notation. So, let's consider all the real numbers between 0 and 1, including 0 and 1. Now, I want you to try to list all of the numbers between 0 and 1. You can pause and try to list all the numbers between 0 and 1. Now, you should have come to the conclusion that there are too many numbers between 0 and 1 to list. As a matter of fact, between 0 and 1, there's an infinite number of numbers. Like, you have numbers in between 0 and 1, like 1 half. 1 half is between 0 and 1. You have numbers in here like 0.0001. So you have numbers in here like 0.0001. But you also have numbers in here like the square root of 3 over 4. So the square root of 3 over 4 is also a number that's in here. And 0.000000000001 is also in here. So there's infinitely many digits in between 0 and 1. So in order to actually describe all the numbers between 0 and 1, including 0 and 1, we need to use this notation called interval notation. And here's how interval notation works. With interval notation, what we do is, to describe all these numbers, we just describe the minimum or the smallest value that's below a lower bound or a minimum value. And the minimum value of this interval is 0. There are no numbers on the interval smaller than 0. And then we put a comma, and the maximum value we put on the other side, on the right side of the interval, 1. So there's a left endpoint of the interval, which is 0. There's a right endpoint of the interval, which is 1. And they're both included because I see the filled in circle there. So this would be the interval of numbers between 0 and 1. This is an accurate description of all the numbers between 0 and 1. So those are all the x's less than or equal to 1, but greater than or equal to 0. Every number between 0 and 1 is what this interval represents. Now, let's make that more general. If you have two numbers on a number line, A and B, and A is smaller than B. A is the minimum, it's the smallest number on the interval. B is the maximum, it's the largest number on the interval. Then the interval, the closed interval, you use a bracket to show that A is included because you notice there's a filled in circle here. So A is included on the interval. And on the other hand, B is also included on the interval. So A and B are both included, so they both get brackets. This interval notation represents every number in between a minimum of A and a maximum of B, including A and B. Now that's a closed interval. The next one down here, you notice on the left hand side, this minimum value is not actually included because it's an open circle. So the minimum value is not actually included. So when you don't want to include the value, use a parenthesis. A parenthesis means you're not including that value of A. So the minimum value or the lower bound of this interval is not included on the interval A. But B, the maximum, because it's a filled in circle, because of that filled in circle, it gets a bracket. So that's the interval of the numbers between A and B, including B but not including A. On the other hand, the one above it, this one here, this is the interval from A to B, every number in between, including both A and including B, including both of them, A and B. So you use a parenthesis to show that that endpoint is not included. Use a bracket to show that that endpoint is included. All right, what about a case like this, where there's a minimum value on the interval? So A is the minimum value, and it's included, because you see the fill-in circle. But this interval has no maximum. You see it just keeps going to the right. So because there is no maximum, we use infinity at the maximum position, and infinities always get a parenthesis because this thing is continuing out to infinity. This thing is continuing out to positive infinity. On the other hand, this last interval here, well, this last interval has no minimum. There's no minimum. There's no beginning. So you can kind of say the beginning is out here at negative infinity, which always also gets a parenthesis, because there's no minimum value, but there is a maximum or a upper bound. There's no value bigger than b, but b is not included. B is not on the interval either, so it gets a parenthesis also. So this is how you use interval notation to describe all the numbers between a minimum and a maximum, or all the numbers to the right of a certain number, like this case, every number to the right of a, or every number to the left of a certain number, like every number to the left of b here.